Hello, and welcome to Totally Schway Flipside, a podcast about whatever the hell I want it to be about.
Wait a minute. You're telling me this isn't a podcast about The Penguin, the HBO series?
No,
Oh.
we're past that now.
We're past that? Oh,
Yeah.
no! I prepared all these notes for nothing!
Past that now.
All these notes!
That's just a bookkeeper out in his office. He's lying to you. He made no notes.
They may not have actually been able to hear that due to the settings on the mic because it cuts out background noise, allegedly.
So today, we have a special for you. We're going to talk about some of our favorite holiday specials or episodes of TV shows. And I am excited, but it also brings back the feels.
Mm-hmm.
Because the ones that I have on my thing, there's one of them that I'm worried about.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How many have you written down?
3.
Okay, so 3 should be fine.
Yeah, because, we talk a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you take it off? Like, why don't you take off first? And what is your first one that you want to talk about?
All right, so when I think of Christmas specials, I think of the old way things used to be done when I was a child. So you would have...
Back in 1952?
Yeah, back in the 1800s. You would have a TV schedule when TV programs were on at a set time, and if you missed it, that was it. It was gone. I mean, I suppose you could set up your VHS and record it, but...
What's time for that?
Well, my dad, apparently, because he recorded some Christmas specials.
Hey, your dad is also the type of dad / person that put the correct time every daylight savings into the VCR.
I think he did, yeah. But yeah, so we had a lot of like Christmas specials recorded, like child appropriate things, like the Snowman. Are you aware of the Snowman?
Yes, I'm aware of the Snowman.
Yeah. Was that a big thing in the States as well?
You're asking the wrong person because I didn't grow up watching a ton of things like that.
You know, the "We're walking in the air" thing, yeah.
Yeah, I know the Snowman, Rudolph, stuff like that. I know of them, and I watched some of them, but they weren't. We were more of like Christmas Vacation and stuff like that playing in the background.
So there was also a Rupert Bear Christmas special that Paul McCartney did the music for. He did a Christmas song, you know. I can't even think of what it is now. But in the Rupert Bear special, it was like Rupert was spying on a group of frogs and toads that began singing at night, and that one of them had the voice of Paul McCartney.
Yeah.
That was a very popular thing, and I don't even know what year that came out, but it was on repeat every single year.
I don't remember any of that.
No.
So we might not have had that.
No.
I came from anyway, not necessarily in the States, because I can't speak for everybody.
Yeah, I don't think Rupert Bear is particularly big in the States. Funnily enough, there was a Rupert Bear museum in Canterbury we used to walk by.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Never went in, though. But anyway, those are the kind of things that I think of when people talk about Christmas specials. Lots of like light-hearted, child-appropriate stories that sometimes had a sad ending. Like the sad ending of the Snowman was that the snowman melted and he was gone for another year.
Yeah.
And the Rupert Bear special ended with the toad spotting Rupert, freaking out and running away, and that was the end of their little opera.
Yeah.
And Rupert had to go home because it was dark.
Yeah.
And there's kind of like a running theme, particularly with British TV Christmas specials. But I'll get to that a little bit later on. So that was kind of the first thing I wanted to talk about. Even an American Christmas special that we would watch quite a lot, and was on TV a lot, was the Disney Christmas special with Scrooge McDuck in A Christmas Carol. That was actually quite creepy in places, like when the ghosts of Marley and, was it Cratchit?
I didn't actually watch that until I was an adult. I mean, I didn't watch the whole thing, but it was just on casually ones.
Yeah, that was one of those things that was on all the time as well.
Your family was rich enough to have Disney Channel?
No, it was on UK TV. We didn't have satellite or anything like that.
Oh.
We just had BBC One, BBC Two, and ITV Channel 4. That was it.
My grandparents had cable, but when I lived with my mom, it wasn't, we just Sometimes on our little black and white TV, we had Channel 9.
I know there are some people listening to this who were born, I want to say, in the 90s.
Like before aerial cable or before aerial television kind of like got extinct.
Yes, so they're probably listening to this going, what the hell are they talking about?
You had a black and white TV?
What is VHS?
Yeah.
VHS.
Can I talk about my black and white TV a little bit?
Yeah, if you want to.
I actually had two of them. I had a portable one, but that was later in life. The first black and white TV I had was my mom and my stepdad had found it in a house that they were working on, and the people that owned the house said that they could have it. And it was a tiny TV, but it was heavy as hell.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just black and white, and it still had the rotary thing.
The dial.
Yeah, and I had it set on, I guess it was called UPN at the time before it became like CW, but it was also called WB then. I think it was that because I would watch I Love Lucy at night before bed. And I loved that little TV so much. I had it for quite a long time. And I would also watch I don't know if any of you guys remember, any of you Americans out there, The Box, where you could call in and you could pay for a music video to play. I remember that. That's like a big memory for me. I never did that. But I like the fact that some of the songs that they played, I was like, oh yeah, I like this one. And every time they played Spice Girls, I was like, ugh.
Hmm.
But yeah, that was my little black and white TV. And then the second black and white TV I had, when I moved in with my grandparents, there wasn't a TV in the spare room, which I ended up taking. And my grandma had we lived in Oklahoma, by the way. So we had this old TV that you could put in with an AC adapter. So you could plug it in with an AC adapter, or you could use those really huge D-size batteries, but you had to have like 8 of them for like 10 minutes of TV.
Mm.
So my grandma gave that to me when I moved in, or a little bit after I moved in, because she knew that I like to watch I Love Lucy before bed. And I had that TV for a really long time as well. Probably longer than it should have been used as a TV. But it was I think it was one of those, yeah, a 4x4. Because it was it was intended to be a weather radio and a TV. Portable, so that's what it was. And this is a Christmas episode. I'm talking about weather. But yeah. So Scrooge McDuck.
Yeah, I actually quite liked that Christmas special as well because it was a little bit scary.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very faithful adaptation of Christmas Carol. I haven't read Christmas Carol in about 25 years, maybe even 30 years.
I haven't read it since high school. Or maybe a little bit after that, because for a while there, somebody had it online.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. So what is your first special that you want to talk about? Like,
well, I was just kind of talking about my childhood ones in general as my first point.
I'll also a little bit about me is that as I've said on the podcast before, I didn't watch a ton of age appropriate stuff when I was a kid. I mean, it wasn't like, I don't know, there was just a lot of like Interview with the Vampire and stuff like that. But when it came to Christmas shows, it was things from like television, like television episodes. And that's what I can remember. A lot of the stuff that I think of when I was a kid are radio programs. And not like radio plays and stuff like that. It's different radio stations would put on certain Christmas music, and then fans would call in and they would tell them, "Oh, this is my favorite song because of so and such memory." And that's the type of stuff that I have in my mind because I was a big fan of radio. I listened to a lot of techno music. Raise your hand if that's what you did. We'll count them.
Oh, no.
But I listened to so many different types of music, but I remember the techno music because what would play is like you would have the Christmas special on I think it was Wild 97 was where you would listen to the pop music, and then there was like four other stations, and one of those stations would play Christmas music, and they would have like viewers call in and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Did anybody else have that as a kid? I mean, I don't know if they still have that with things like Spotify and whatnot, but I remember that. I also remember things like Full House and like all of those ABC, TGIF um, series that had Christmas episodes. I remember um, more than like actual specials, like Friday night specials and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's there are three things I'm going to talk about, but two of them. Well, no, one of them is technically not from my childhood. But
well, why don't we talk about one of yours now?
Okay, so I have quite a controversial one. It wasn't controversial at the time, but at the moment it is, and as it should be. It's a controversial thing. It's about Roseanne.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so the Roseanne Barr is a controversial person now, because of really bad things, like things people shouldn't say and all that. She's like that. But when I was a kid, I loved Roseanne because that kind of family thing is kind of what I wanted. And I didn't really, I didn't really have a family like that when I was a kid. But it's something that I wanted. I wanted a family unit that was like really trusting and really like they'd come together and like love each other and stuff like that, but also be kind of weird. So I loved that, and I learned a lot of life lessons from watching the Roseanne TV show, and a lot of it is that when certain times in your life come about, whether you're losing a loved one or you're going through some sort uh, of era in your life, sometimes just a regular day like December 25th has some label on it and it brings people together, whether they are your biological family or they are your best friends or they are the people that you have chosen. They can come together and they can celebrate just life in general and not have to take it as seriously as a lot of people do. And I loved that about I don't have a specific Roseanne episode, Christmas episode, but I just feel that it's it was a lovely way because it was realistic.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't oh, the old man came from the chimney and stuff like that. It was literally just family coming together and being together, whether you're mad at them, whether they have ticked you off or anything like that. You're just together and you show up and you were just there.
Mm.
And I loved that about them. They're the one with when Darlene gets stuck at David's, where like there because there's a snowstorm. That is probably one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
But I think with the Roseanne, just in general, the TV show, it was all about. Yeah, you might be pissed off at each other, but forgiveness is a big thing, and sometimes you can't forgive, but you can show up, and it might be hard, but family is family, and it's not always blood.
Well, that's a very festive message right there.
Yeah. I got deep on the first one, but the other two that I've written down are not that deep. They're important, but not that deep.
Mm-hmm. So, funnily enough, my second one is also not a specific episode, but more just like a general concept of Christmas specials. They're very common in Britain, and they're what I call like, I suppose I could best sum it up as the EastEnders Christmas special, because you think of, as I mentioned earlier, like the Christmas specials I watched before were generally quite, happy and family friendly and tame and nice and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, most British TV series that do a Christmas special they juxtapose the festive season with misery.
Oh yes,
and despair.
That every English thing from like before you had Downton Abbey or Call the Midwife, it is exactly how you have just described it for Christmas specials.
Yes, everyone is miserable. Horrible things happen. I think in the first EastEnders Christmas special, I think it was Dirty Den served his wife Ange with divorce papers.
Oh no!
Went Merry Christmas, Ange, and that was the end of the episode. And that's just what I think of British Christmas. And lots of other things have happened. Like popular characters have been killed off. People have been violently assaulted. Families have broken up. There have been fights. Adultery takes place. And it's just like, if I was... Okay, let's imagine that EastEnders was real. Now, this is going to be kind of confusing for American people because you probably don't know what EastEnders is. EastEnders is...
BBC?
It's a BBC long-running sitcom. It's been going since the mid-80s. Actually, it's about as old as I am. And it's on... I think it's on 3 times a week. It might be 4 times a week. But they always do a big Christmas special, which is like a culmination of long-running storylines. And in recent years, there have actually been 2 Christmas specials. There's the one that's on in the early afternoon, and then there's the one that's on later in the day when it's a bit more dour. So it's kind of this long-running sitcom about this place called Albert Square, which is just like a road in London, southeast London, I think.
But you have these places like that in IRL that are like literally just like this.
Yeah, and it's obviously people's houses, and it's centered around some small businesses there as well.
Or calf.
Yeah, there's the cafe, Kathy's Caff.
Yeah.
There's the Queen Victoria pub, the Queen Vic.
Mm-hmm.
There's the laundromat, or the laundrette, excuse me.
Yeah, laundrette.
There's the market. There's the garage where they fix the cars.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the chip shop.
Yeah.
And it's all about the people that live and work there. And I kid you not, it has got to have like the worst crime rate in Britain.
I know.
When they do all these stats about like the most dangerous places to live, Albert Square should be on number 1. The amount of people that have been run over, stabbed, shot,
assaulted in some...
Yeah, all kinds of horrible forms of assault. Buildings burning down. And a lot of the time, this stuff happens at Christmas. And you'll always have like these popular characters. Usually the episode will end with them weeping in absolute agony.
And the theme tune. You have to talk about the theme tune.
Oh. Well, it plays the drums. It goes dun, 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 dun. But then if a popular character is leaving, they extend that out with a piano version, a sad version of it. Like when Frank Butcher left for... Mike Reid was my favourite character, the actor in EastEnders. He played a character called Frank Butcher.
Mm-hmm.
I could probably talk for hours about how wonderful Mike Reid was in terms of a performer.
A singer.
He did cabaret, not cabaret, what do you call it? Club style singing, didn't he? Like singing like Sinatra songs, etc. But anyway, he his character was very charismatic. Put a lot of himself into the character. He had like catchphrases like, "What do you take me for? Some kind of donut?" Yes, and his long-running love of Pat Butcher, his wife and his ex-wife, and then they got together again. And but when he left, and he couldn't find Pat, their secret affair had been exposed. He'd been kicked out of his home by his wife, who ran the pub.
Mm-hmm.
And Pat had decided she was going to go back to her husband, but her husband wouldn't take her back.
Mm-hmm.
And you just have Frank standing out in the rain going, "Pat! Pat!"
Was it a Christmas one though, was it?
No, it was in the lead up to Christmas. But he got in his car and drove away, and Pat comes around the corner and she goes, "Frank, wait!" But he doesn't see her. Oh. And they start playing the piano music, and you're like, "Oh my God, is it any wonder we're such a miserable nation?" This is our form of entertainment. You have to actually ask the question. This is the philosophical question. Are we that way because we consume entertainment like that? Or does entertainment like that exist because we are that way? I lean towards the latter. That kind of thing has become popular because it resonates with us.
So in Britain as well, it's more you're either well, this is what I have come across. You're either an EastEnders person or a Coronation Street person.
There are some people that watch both.
I have not met one that doesn't like one more than the that does not like one
over the other.
Over the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Coronation Street is set in Manchester, so it's a bit more of a northern show.
Yeah.
And it has its fair share of depressing Christmas episodes.
There's one thing that I haven't watched Coronation Street, but I did for a while watch.
Didn't you watch it when Ian McKellen was in Coronation?
I was just about to say, Ian McKellen was on Coronation Street, and that is, if that's not enough for you to watch at least those episodes, then I don't know what is.
Funnily enough, I just reminded of the time that there was a little bit of, well, they have done crossovers between Coronation Street and EastEnders before, but there was an unofficial one when there was a detective who had been investigating a murder, but then the same actor turned up playing the same detective investigating a murder in EastEnders, and he had a very distinctive Scottish accent. He's like, "There's been a murder," and that's how I remember him. I was like, "That's the same dude that was in Coronation Street. They're playing the same character. Oh my god!" But anyway.
Should I do my second one?
Yes, you may. I've just kind of wandered off and rambled.
That's all right. So my next one, I thought I would stay on a little bit of a theme here. Just this for this one. BTAS.
You can't do that. This is flip side.
Excuse me. This is wrong. It is not BTAS.
No.
What is it?
It's the new Batman Adventure.
Yes, the new Batman Adventures. Holiday Nights.
Yeah.
I watched this when it first came out, obviously, but it was one of those things where it's Christmas when that comes on your TV, because it would come on in the afternoons, after school.
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering what Luke was doing. I would come on in the afternoons after school, and around Christmas time, this one would come on a lot, and I really liked it.
Yeah, it's an ensemble.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I liked about it, is because you have 3 different stories, and you have a ton of different characters in these stories, and they all kind of have not necessarily the best ending, but they all have an ending where it's like, oh, they didn't ruin Christmas, so it's okay.
No.
And the thing about Batman, the animated series, and the New Adventures of Batman, and the DCAU, is it's not always the joyous of stories, but sometimes, like in Holiday Nights, it does have its really funny moments. It's really lovely moments, and then you have the very last scene with Commissioner Gordon and Batman, which is my favorite. So
yeah, that was more New Year's though, wasn't it? But still,
Christmas,
yeah,
holiday, whatever.
Here's a fun fact for people. So that episode, Holiday Nights, is based on a comic book that the animated series team did, called the Batman Adventures Holiday Special.
Mm-hmm.
It had artwork by Bruce Timm, Glenn Murakami, Kevin Altieri, and Dan Reba. Paul Dini wrote most of it.
We love all of those people.
Dan Reba still has his original pencils from that comic, and he showed them to me over Zoom.
That's amazing.
I know, that was wonderful, and it was very funny because the person that did the lettering misspelled Old Lang Syne
mm-hmm.
in the version that Dan has, and he was very quick to point out to me, he goes, "I didn't make this mistake. It was whoever did the lettering. They did it," and it was corrected in time for publication. But yeah, I just think that's really very cool.
Be doing a video on that, maybe.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
But it's funny that holiday special comic. I used to get tracing paper, lay it over the top, and just draw from the pages because I was trying to learn how to draw in their style. I could never do it properly.
Batman, bringing the world together in the holiday season.
Yeah, it kind of blows my mind that I know the people, or some of the people that worked on that. Considering it was, would I say it was important? I suppose, yeah. Let's say it was important to me.
I would say it was important to you. Like, it's...
No, that specific comic, I mean.
Oh, I thought you were talking about Batman in general. I was like, I would say it was quite important.
Yeah.
I think it's awesome that you know some of those people and that you could call them friends. And the fact that things like holiday nights, you have little tidbits of that where you could talk about like the old pencils and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Which I find stuff like that, like when people have kept things like that for so long, it's just it's awesome.
Yes, Dan has a lot of wonderful treasures. He also showed me a sketch that Glenn Murakami had done of Batman that Glenn decided was rubbish and he threw it out. And Dan went, no, 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 that's very good. That's precious treasure. I'm keeping that. And he fished it out of the bin, flattened it out, and went, there we go. No, perfect, perfect.
What Warner Brothers should do is they should put out specials of these prints and stuff like that and these sketches, and it would just be so amazing for people like myself to see, because this is, one of the only cartoons that I actually watched when I was a kid, that wasn't like too adult oriented. And it would be nice to remember some of those really cool times.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of the original artwork just is either lost, was destroyed, or has been sold off into private collections, and you just never see it anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, I say this as someone that has bought a bunch of it, but I do share pictures of them. I do share them online. Say, look, this is this thing by this person.
So
This is what it looks like.
what is your next one?
My next one. So this will be my last one, isn't it? Because we kind of talked about three things. So there's another kind of holiday special or Christmas special, if you will, and that is from like British comedy.
Mm-hmm.
And I have one particular one in mind, and that is Bottom.
Oh,
Bottom's Christmas special.
I get Bottom and Space mixed up because I watched them at the same time.
Yeah, so Bottom's one with Rick Mayall and Adrian Edmondson. And it's very like slapstick comedy. Very crass, like poop and fart jokes and burps and stuff like that. But in this Christmas special, the Bottom is about these two guys that live in Hammersmith. I think they actually are called.
Has Brian?
No, that's Space.
Yeah, Space.
So they live in Hammersmith, and they live in this grotty flat, and they're kind of greasy and dirty alcoholics and weird, and they've got some weird friends, including, was it Spudgun and Dave Hedgehog? Dave Hedgehog is a smaller guy, whereas Spudgun is a massive man.
It has been 15 years since I've watched them.
Yes, and it's basically their antics of, trying to be successful, trying to get girlfriends, and just failing miserably. Also, while being very funny. And their Christmas special, it ends up with Rick Mayall's character Rick discovers an abandoned child on their doorstep, a baby boy, and he thinks that it's Jesus Christ, and that God has decided that he is now Jesus's mother. So he walks around with a tea towel on his head, acting like the mother of Christ. It's just like absurd comedy. It's filmed in front of a live audience, so that you'd often see they would make their jokes and then they would wait for the audience to stop laughing. Sometimes they might even start to laugh themselves and then compose themselves.
Yeah.
A lot of the comedy came from, as I mentioned earlier, slapstick fights, like hitting each other with frying pans and making comically loud sound effects like dong. It's just like some.
You can find some of these episodes on YouTube.
I'm sure you can. In the UK, at least, Bottom's on Prime. So if you've never seen it, check it out. It's the kind of thing that amuses me.
It's really cool because it shows. It's one of the first things I sat down to watch when I moved over here, because I don't know if you guys know this, but on certain visas or like residency things, you're not allowed to work for like 6 months, 6 months to a year before you can. And I happen to have not been able to work for 6 months, so I sat and watched a lot of television and played a lot of video games. because that's really all that I could do.
It's a good job I had a lot of DVDs.
Yeah. But I think I ended up watching Bottom on YouTube.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Because I couldn't find one of the DVDs, and it wasn't my favorite, but it was really funny.
Yeah.
I do think I prefer Space.
Yeah,
They're
Space.
different things.
Very different.
Though.
Yeah, yeah.
But I remember both of them because I watched them at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's maybe some older people might be familiar with the show The Young Ones. It's the same people, a lot of the same people from The Young Ones.
I don't know that one.
Okay, never mind then. But yeah, those were my specials. Do you have another one you would like to talk about?
It's the last one. It's more recent. I say more recent, but it was in 2009.
That was like yesterday.
Yeah. And that is American Dad, Rapture Delight.
Oh, that one.
Dear God.
No. I'm not saying bad. I'm surprised that you chose that one.
Yeah. I don't know. I really like American Dad because it's never too serious until you get to this one. And it's like they've taken something that a lot of people are very, very serious about when talking about it. And they are kind of serious, but then they make it like really funny, but very dystopic and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed that. I think it's a two-parter. I can't remember about that because I've just watched it on streaming in the past few years, but I loved it.
Do you remember the days when we used to have to buy DVDs of seasons of these shows? And I kind of alluded to this earlier when I said I had a lot of DVDs, but like American Dad, I had a stack of DVDs from that series, didn't I?
Yeah.
And it was you'd have to pay so much money just to get one season. Whereas now, I mean, kids today, you don't know how good you got it, but you can just watch all of it on streaming, just all of it.
Yeah.
Which is actually what Mary does in the evening. She puts a couple of episodes of American Dad on.
I'm the type of person that has to be watching something when I'm sleeping because otherwise my brain just doesn't shut off. Whereas if my brain is focusing on that, it's not thinking of all of the the foes I've had in my life and the I'm trying to think of another word, but yeah, I like to watch stuff. So I've been past year and a half been watching Family Guy and American Dad because it's not too serious.
Yeah, you used to watch SVU, which give me weird dreams.
Yeah, by the way, Rapture Delight is one episode. Okay. It's not a two-parter.
I'm glad you cleared that up.
Yeah, but SVU, love that show. Oh, I love watching it. But it is not a TV show to watch while you're sleeping because it's heavy. And I'm heavy enough while I'm sleeping anyway. But something lighthearted like Rapture Delight.
So was that one actually the Christmas special?
It is because it was on December 13th. I count it as the Christmas specials, and because they were doing something at church for Christmas. So it is a Christmas special.
Tenuous, but I'll grant it.
Yeah, but technically that year, that episode was their Christmas episode. Do you have any others?
I mean, if we're going to talk about American animation, you can always mention The Simpsons. They've got some very good Christmas specials, particularly early Simpsons.
Oh yeah.
I like the one where where Homer becomes just kind of obsessed with his family not being normal and like being like a good family, and they all go around like the neighborhood spying on the other families, going, "Look, this is what a normal family looks like." And they're mistaken for peeping toms, and someone shoots at them.
I don't remember that one.
That was a very early one.
Yeah,
I think it might have been the first Christmas
special.
special.
Forget about The Simpsons, and I don't know why, because it's not. It's great.
Yeah.
I just always forget about it because it was on Fox, and I wasn't really a Fox person.
Yeah. But if you there's obviously the one where I say obviously the one where Bart steals a video game. Was that a Christmas episode? I think he gets caught shoplifting at the mall, doesn't it? And he ruins the family Christmas picture
Yeah, I think.
Because the security guard recognizes him, pulls him out and says, I
Yeah.
told you you were banned from here.
Oh, we can't forget their dog as well.
Oh, the one where they get Santa's little helper. Yes, yes.
Love
I
that.
think that was the same episode as when they'd been like skulking around the neighborhood, spying on people. And they bet all of their Christmas money on Santa's little helper winning the race, and he loses. He comes like worse than last place, gets kicked out by his owner, and Homer takes him in, and that's their Christmas present.
And I tell you what, that would be the win. So Santa's little helper actually did win that race because he got to come home with the Simpsons.
Well, yes, because the life of a race dog, I can't imagine, is very good.
It's not.
No.
That's why you have I'm not even going to go into it. It's too deep.
It's almost like an EastEnders Christmas special. Now we're going into boom, 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 boom.
Yeah. So I also like the Grey's Anatomy Christmas episodes. I think the second season, I think it's called Grandma got run over by a reindeer, because a lot of, if not all of the Grey's Anatomy episodes are named after songs. Their titles are taken after songs, and that one, Izzy, who is played by Katherine Heigl, just really wants everybody to get together because it's, they're surgeons. Everything is deep, dark, and twisty, and it was always nice to see I love Grey's Anatomy still to this day, but it's always nice to see some of their Christmas episodes and how different they can be, because it's not always like, oh my god, we're all together and this and this. It's quite sad sometimes. And it's
Does it take place in the fictional London borough of Walford?
You're just gonna go on about the thing about me is my grandparents, I think when they got to me, because I was the fifth grandchild, I was kind of like, oh, okay, we've done this like with four other kids for years and years and years now, so I think we're kind of over it. So Christmas to me was a lot different than what it is to me now, because we just didn't celebrate Christmas that way. We would go to my aunt's house and stuff like that, but my aunt Nancy. But seeing it on TV again when I was younger, I think because I was so like, I wanted those things, like not necessarily the toys or whatever. I wanted to celebrate Christmas that way, and we didn't. So I was like, and when I watched those things, it would just put me in a bad mood. So things like holiday nights, where it's not necessarily about just reliant on just the family topics and stuff like that. It was really great. And then Rapture's Delight, again, like I said, I was a little bit older. It's not necessarily centered around like Santa Claus coming and giving us presents and stuff like that. It's about like a whole journey of sorts to get to where you need to be. The Roseanne ones, I loved that because of the dysfunction of it all. And it did remind me of how my family was at one point in time in our lives. Not for a long, not for long, but I just, I like the more realistic Christmas episodes, but then I like the ones where it's like, no, thank you. We're not going to be realistic with this. We are going to go to, we're going to have everybody go up to heaven, and then we are going to stay on here, and it's going to be Mad Max.
Yeah.
But with the movies, on the other hand, we'll be talking about a different
spoilers
episode.
So do you think that now is the time to move on to comments, or do you have any closing thoughts?
Yeah. So I want to talk a tiny bit about Christmas. I know I talked about how I had not I didn't have a traditional Christmas because I was the I don't even know how many grandkids there were in the end, but I was the fifth one, and they already the novelty and the newness of it all for my grandparents and like my family, it kind of just left, which it happens with most families like that. I grew up knowing that Christmas was just about having people over. And that's how I see it. I don't think it's necessarily that you have to buy people gifts or you have to do this, this, and this. It's just about having the people you love over. And again, it's kind of like Thanksgiving is you've got the strays, you've got the runaways, which when I say that, I should have mentioned this in our Thanksgiving episode. I'm talking about my cousin's friends. Because my cousin Candy, our Candelaria, had so many friends that just had no place to go, and they ended up at my aunt's and my grandparents for the holidays. So I remember stuff like that. They weren't always the nicest, but around Christmas time, it's the one time where you can get a little pissed off and you can say something like, "You go to hell." And then you have your turkey or ham dinner, and then you're, like I said in the Thanksgiving episode, you're so full that you just forgiveness is the only thing left in life. You just want to be like, okay, if they just shut up, I'm sorry. I forgive you. And then that starts an argument on New Year's. What did you need to forgive me about? And on that, I think we should get to the comments.
So up first we have David Carney, who says, "Hi, Mary and Luke."
Hi.
You got first billing this time, Mary?
Yeah, obviously.
Well, I was really hoping that wasn't going to happen to Victor, but unfortunately it had to happen. Hope it wins awards. They were going to do an Arkham Asylum show. Warner Brothers, please give us an Arkham Asylum show. Have a good week, both of you. Yeah, that would be nice, actually. I keep saying, my dream bit of casting, Ron Perlman as the Golden Age Clayface, the elderly man who wears a mask and stabs people in Arkham Asylum. Perfect casting.
And Mary Mears as one of the good nurses.
Okay, so next we have Harry Flew TV, who says, "I think this show handled the sympathetic penguin storyline better than the god-awful train wreck of a BTAS episode, Birds of a Feather." That's a bit unfair, Harry. I thought that was the best penguin episode. "It portrays the penguin as somewhat sympathetic to an extent, but still portrays Oswald as an actual villain. This show doesn't let you forget that at the end of the day, the penguin is still a bad dude."
Word.
Sony, take notes. What's the reference to Sony? What have they got to do with Batman? I don't know. Things get even creepier when we see how needy for his mum Oswald is, to a point where he creepily keeps her in a vegetative state and hires a lady of the night to dress as his mother and tell him out loud how proud she is of him.
I have known people that if they were millionaires, they would have done that. And that's unfortunate. But it does show how creepy that is.
Mm-hmm.
Because obviously she asked him to do something.
And she asked him to kill her if she ever lost herself.
And he didn't do that. He did the opposite of that. He is now doing what she would have hated.
Yes. It's not about her at all, it's all about him.
Yeah, like I said, I know people that if they would have had the money to pay for like medical bills and stuff like that, they would have done that for decades with their loved ones. But it's so, because she asked him not to do that, it's so unkind.
Mm-hmm.
When by the way, if you think about it, he is the one that started the unkind, very morally corrupt choices.
Yes. So just to conclude Harry's comment, he says, "I hope that the next time we see him, Penguin wears a top hat and monocle, since he'd already worn the suit from B-Test by the end of the show." And edit, you forgot to read my comment from the last episode.
What?
We did not forget anything. Your comment didn't show up. Now, Big Mikey P has warned you all that sometimes comments don't show up and he thinks his account is suspended.
Luke's gonna read your comment in a minute after the other comments. If it's here, let me see on my little phone.
Well, I've already talked to Harry about this. He contacted me separately going, "Why didn't you read out my comment? You hate me." He didn't really say that, but...
I was about to say, that's not him. That's just you doing that silly, stupid voice.
Yeah, but we determined that his comment hadn't shown up because he went back and looked and it wasn't there, so he just left another one. Anyway, I'm going to move on to Lowell Lucas Jr., who says, "Hey, today it's totally Schway, penguin squawking on a literal hump day. Oh, I say."
Cuckoo-ca-cha!
Thank you both for the Penguin coverage, despite Oswald becoming a petty little a-hole. We can all take comfort he's getting his flippers handed to him by the rich guy in bat pajamas. Also, I'm shocked my comment wasn't read. I'm sad. Same thing, Lowell Lucas Jr. The comments, for some reason, not all of them showed up. Some of them did, not all of them.
Yeah, I don't know what this is, but next time we have a podcast, I will double and triple check, and then I'll see if I can remember to put a post out before, like on the community tab, to see if everybody's posts are actually getting through, because this is twice now in one go.
Well, it was the same episode as well.
Yeah.
YouTube is not infallible. Sometimes it has little hiccups.
I'm so sorry about that.
Well, it's not our fault. There's nothing for us to apologise for. If it doesn't
Somehow
come through,
the
we don't know.
universe, because I have I have OCD, and because maybe I didn't open that drawer like an extra time, sometimes I do think it's my fault. And that's not me like clowning on OCD, that's me like being genuinely apologetic.
He continues by saying, unless the almighty YouTube algorithm didn't inform me about your video when I missed it, but I do routinely check. No, I don't think it was your fault either. I believe it was a hiccup with YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube's not YouTube is awesome, but it's not the best at keeping comments, and it's also really bad at taking comments down that they say that are bad, but actually basically say like what's up. It's like, but there's nothing bad in that.
Anyway, that being said, thank you both for the awesome now. Big Mikey P and the rest, come on, you don't want to make Mary sad. She's gonna charge at you faster than Rogue needing answers from Thunderbolt Ross. Till then, Glazed Donuts for life. Looking forward to the Christmas special video. I'm just going to throw my hat in for The Life and Adventures of Santa Claus by Rankin Bass.
Glazed donuts are the best. Definitely. Although we did have some of our favorite donuts recently. And the one that looked like Homer Simpson, they're called dough nuts.
Donuts.
Those were they were delicious.
Next we have Mikey Part 2. So the big Mikey P account has been suspended again.
or he just prefers this one.
Maybe he does.
Maybe explain.
Maybe you could make a third account called Big Mikey P La Troisième. Never mind.
I know what it is. It's just like, why if the number 2's working, why create it?
Well, because it says Mikey P, or Mikey Part 2, I should say.
I like Mikey Part 2.
Anyway, doesn't matter. Just my preference, anyway.
That watch our stuff.
Anyway, he says, nice to meet you, Juan Sanchez Lobo Ramirez, me designated Mikey. By the way, the original Highlander and the Search for Vengeance anime are tough acts to follow. Would need a miracle for another new Highlander to equal or top them. Henry Cavill's in the new Highlander.
I have to say, like, you don't put this down before it's been put on the pedestal by me, okay? Because I love Henry Cavill. I'm hoping, just hoping, that Kal-El will make an appearance in it, because that's the main reason I like Henry Cavill.
Yes, his dog Kal-El, we should clarify.
But we'll see. We shall see. I'll ask my stepdad what he thinks, because he really likes Highlander. And I want to see if he's actually a fan of Henry Cavill. I don't see why not.
To continue this massive tome. Of course, the absence of Batman is quite an easy complaint. Would have expected an off-screen world tour somewhat akin to what Batman and Jason told Robin 2 under the Red Hood's flashback. Plural, excuse me.
Can I ask a question real quick? Sorry. I'm gonna reference something, and everybody that gets it, just comment in the comment section thing. Press X for Jason.
The cross button. Come on. Doesn't quite work, does it? Press cross for Jason. Anyway, or perhaps doing a Matches Malone undercover op. If Gotham Central is going to be adapted, make sure it's a standalone away from certain other adaptations.
Yeah.
Unless it's already proven itself, so it can be tied in well with either the Batman, 2004, the Arkhamverse, or even the Batman Beyond era of the DCAU. The story you're asking about, Mary? The Green Ribbon.
Yeah, oh my god! Thank you. Thank you.
There's a Catwoman moment, brings into mind that When in Rome reference in a Batcave call from Arkham's Shadow. Seems Doc Rush is no figment of Sophia's subconscious. I wonder if Francis will be an exception to Batman's no-killing rule. That end goodness me. That ending sure sounds Gainaxy. The word waistcoat can be substituted with vesket, as called by fave Dickensian Cockney Sam Weller. Expect Victor to have the last name of Sage, as in the question. Guy also appears in random form in Arkham Shadow. All these spoilers for this game that I may yet still play. Unbelievable.
Which game is that?
The VR Batman game. The one you've been moaning about getting all these adverts for.
Yeah.
Off note, the diversity angle here is not much, but it's worthwhile and not anvilcilious. Sorry again, Luke. Almost rhymes with delicious, by the way. Same goes for Arkham Shadow, particularly with the character Leslie Tompkins and the Ratcatcher, despite said changes being retcons away from certain Arkhamverse tie-in comics. Also, Lockup, they changed the ethnicity of Lockup, which I think was done so that people wouldn't just assume he was a big white supremacist. I haven't really noticed many complaints about that, partly because those kind of people that get upset about that sort of thing probably haven't played a VR game and don't really know about it. But anyway, but at the same time, can't be said with Dragon Age Veilguard. Poor Francis, Victor, Sophia, and several others more. But it can't be helped the same way how events went with Arkham Shadow. Again, a mystery, we don't know. Anyone who's played it or watched a real good playthrough of it will definitely understand. Not us, then. Oh boy, mentioned that game a bunch of times. Dunno, there may be better competition on the Emmys. Just make sure that Victor ain't another Green Book or Game of Thrones.
You say that there's a lot of competition. I have watched a lot of shows this year, more than I usually do, because I usually like older things. I have to say, this is a huge contender, and if it's not at the Emmys, this will be the 35th year I will not be watching it, or 36th year, excuse me. Not that I'm 36 years old, because I'm a perpetual 25-year-old.
A new miniseries better not be about the Joker. Meantime, the idea of Jason being the first Robin for this universe is quite novel. Pass on The Sims. He doesn't like The Sims, Mary.
That's okay. You don't have to like it. I probably like it for the both of us, to be honest.
36 minutes and 29 seconds. Good news, he didn't. Bad news, he did.
Oh.
3746, I see. Thanks for the trivia. You're welcome, if I knew what it was. 3909, guess the miniseries didn't. Believe me, the election results will also influence the world in a bad way. If, say, the good Ukrainians lose their brave war, Taiwan becomes a red province after a struggle, and Iran gets a sudden second win, we know who to blame and who to prefer pacifying. Wonder if Pain and Prejudice is a standalone and not connected to any mainline long-running plots. Yeah, it slots in with everything else, but it is part of like the New 52 continuity. In Phantasm's defense, set photos aren't easy to denounce as spoilers. Sure as In a Strange Place Creature Commandos, what with being an animated series set in the same universe as live actions like the upcoming Superman movie and Peacemaker, reminds me of Mamoru Oshii's Kerberos Panzer Cop trilogy, with its most well-known installment being the animated third film, Jinro the Wolf Brigade, which is also the first chronologically, 41-47. Told you, Phantasm.
I'm gonna make Luke watch some of these shows one day in movies.
Never happening.
And he's gonna come to the next podcast after he watches these, and he's gonna speak the name of it perfectly. He's gonna get on his knees and apologize for all the times he was wrong.
No. 47-51. Alas, my own prediction didn't occur. It seems Phantasm wins the round. There you go. Also prefer the name Eclair over Long John. Thanks, Bombkins and Crepes. Think Bombkins and Crepes are better, though.
I do prefer Eclair, the name, but Long John is... It's funny to say.
I've seen lots of outlandish anime and magical works out there, but Agatha all along feels like it's trying too hard on doing the weird and wonderful Wiccan and the GL Yuri stuff, and again, its connections to a flawed post-Endgame portion of the MCU has alienated lots when it comes to lore, storytelling, action, and humor.
I'm still gonna watch it, and watch me be like that person that has like everything Agatha all along after that.
Yeah.
Watch it. Watch this space.
Overall, despite not seeing much of it just yet, seriously binging lots of animated books for now, I think The Penguin is neat, and it sure seems a better spin-off than whatever Dune is having, according to current reviews.
I have not watched that spinoff, and I don't plan to for a while. Because I'm gonna be on. I'm gonna be honest. I have to be honest. I have just been sitting at night before bed playing Vampire Survivors, either on the PS5 or the Portal, mostly the PS5 because I have thoughts on the Portal, and watching Kitboga scamming videos because the world is a horrible place, and watching scammers get scammed puts me in a neutral mood, and I don't know what I could think about another Dune thing.
However, it may be overshadowed by, again, fellow DC Comics work Batman Arkham Shadow, and competition like the second season of Arcane for the feels, chills, and thrills. Fave Christmas special for me, there's that Powerpuff Girls 1998 special. Hope to see you all there. Addendum. And if anyone wants to play a game set on it, there's Batman Arkham Origins. For movies, either Tokyo Godfathers or Scrooged.
Would you guys be interested in me playing some of the Arkham games? Because I've played them before. Not all the way through, but I've played them and I've enjoyed them. But would you guys like want to watch me play through some of them or whatnot? Because I could do that.
You could do that.
Yeah.
So, last comment. We have the Phantasm who says, "Hey guys, didn't mean last time to give off the impression that there was some sort of feud between me and you know who."
There's no feud.
Allegedly.
There's no feud. Let's drink our Diet Cokes or non-Diet Cokes and cheers together to no feud.
But please, if you could ask him to stop responding, I would greatly appreciate it. Listen. Big Mikey P does what he wants. I've told him to stop mentioning these obscure anime shows that I can't pronounce, and it just encourages him.
Never want him to stop replying to people because it's fun. And when I get to like, sometimes when I'm checking like the comments and stuff, I'll read them and I'll just laugh so hard, and I'm just like, guys, you have completely made my day.
A bit unfortunate to hear about Creature Commandos. What about it? That we're not doing a podcast about it? Well, we might do something. Like Mary said, we might do a summary of it later on.
Doing another weekly thing because I nearly divorced Luke like 8 times because I did not want to talk about Colin Farrell anymore. And that was just in one day.
Yeah. But on the positive side, the show will debut with the first 2 episodes. So with the Penguin now coming to an end, I really love the show and how it reinforced that Penguin is not at all a misunderstood character. He's a vile monster.
Yes.
Which I really appreciate for villains. It's a common complaint, but in more modern years, there are more attempts to make a lot of established villains into reluctant anti-heroes. It doesn't really come off the most natural. That includes some Batman villains. I also much preferred how the show handled Penguin having certain sympathetic elements, while still making it clear that he's a true villain, compared to how Betas handled Penguin in Birds of a Feather. I don't want to spend too much time talking about it, so I'll just say that Theo Rossi's character, that it feels like they wrote the scene of Penguin's mother in the beginning of the last episode first, and then came up with the Doctor character later. Yeah. He just felt poorly incorporated into the show for me. I can see why you say that. I like the fact that they reintegrated him into Arkham afterwards so that Sophia has got an ally in there.
Yeah.
And who knows what may happen after that.
I wish they would have done more because Theo Rossi is such a great actor. They could have done so much because he can do super sweet, but he can do hella crazy too.
Yeah.
And he can do totally neutral and still be elevated.
Apparently, in one of the episodes, I don't know which one it was because I didn't notice this, but apparently he had the Scarecrow's mask and glove with the syringes on it in his office. So people are going, "Oh, Theo Rossi's the Scarecrow," which maybe. Anyway, moving on. Then at the end, I think this might be a me thing, but I personally was hoping that Sophia would actually die in the end. That's because I'm honestly extremely exhausted of the Falcone family constantly being adapted in Batman media as opposed to actual Batman characters. Said this before, but to me, they are just placeholders for the real villains. Poor Vic. He was really living on borrowed time ever since he met Penguin. Oswald shedding what little emotional tethers he might have had was the last straw, which culminates him getting the classic tuxedo. It really looks specifically like the iconic Brian Bolland image of Penguin. And something I want to bring up since you did a video about Maxi Zeus.
Here's a massive problem I've had for years with media that isn't exclusive to BTS or comics, but just how fictional media adapts Greek culture. As a Greek person, I find it so frustrating that whenever writers want to introduce a character that's either of Greek descent or has anything to do with anything Greek, they always try to connect them to the gods of Olympus. It's like they don't know that there's more to our culture than just the stories about the Greek pantheon. The most famous example is Wonder Woman, but because she was created so early compared to other superheroes, and also the fact that she's not directly based on a specific character, it doesn't attract from the character for me. But after that, almost every other Greek character is somehow connected to the Greek gods.
It's kind of lazy writing in a way. I mean, I say that, but that's not really an insult. It's just they don't put enough effort into writing a character that isn't about, oh, Zeus is my grandpa or something like that. It's like there's so much culture that they could write about other than just that.
Yeah.
Like so much more. I totally I see where you're coming from.
My favourite comic book character who is Greek is Elektra from Marvel because she's just Greek and her personality isn't solely dependent on that. Although the name Elektra isn't really that common in Greece and kind of sounds more like someone's idea of a Greek name. Yeah, thanks, Frank Miller. If anything, it sounds like a stripper name, but then you remember, oh, right, she's a Frank Miller creation. That was it. Those were the comments.
There's nothing wrong with stripper name.
If you left a comment on the last episode and it wasn't read out, that means that YouTube did not save your comment for whatever reason. So in future, keep an eye on that. Make sure that YouTube isn't removing your content unduly. Before we go, we just want to make a very quick little plug for a little video series that's going live on Mary's channel. In fact, it'll be live now.
It is live.
Yeah, it is live. So Mary has made me a Batman the Animated Series themed advent calendar. If you don't know what an advent calendar is.
Batman Adventures.
Yeah. If you don't know what an advent calendar is, it's like a daily gift, I suppose. Small gift. In the lead up to Christmas. Traditionally, they're sold with like chocolates inside of them.
Or just cardboard pieces of paper.
Yeah, or just little toys or whatever.
Yeah.
But Mary's gone all out to build a custom Batman the Animated Series one. Frankly, she's gone over the top.
But it's also your Christmas present too, so
yeah.
That's don't expect a ton of gifts under the actual tree.
Yeah. But she's doing one short YouTube short every day in the lead up to Christmas, showing me opening up the Advent calendar.
Yeah, it'll be going all the way to the 26th, so until the day after Christmas.
Okay. So you're doing extra.
Or no, we'll say until Christmas. Because I'll just post it all.
So yeah, make sure you check those out. Don't forget to like, leave a comment, etc. Feed the gaping maw of the YouTube algorithm. Mary, is there anything else you want to talk about before we go?
What kind of video games do you guys like? I am liking Vampire Survivors at the moment. And I am really enjoying the adventures mode. The only one I haven't really liked was Moonspell, but the others I've really liked. Yeah.
I've been playing Silent Hill 2.
You've been playing that again for like a couple hours.
Yeah, played 3 hours and I really enjoyed it. I don't get to play games as much these days because I'm always making videos in my free time, and I've got a very demanding day job. So, but you know, I set out some time yesterday to play for a couple of hours, and I enjoyed it greatly.
Yeah. Also, we are going to do in January. We are going to do an episode where it's just us chatting about some of our favorite things, and we're not gonna have a tiny little starter subject, and then that's gonna be for like 30 minutes. So look forward to that. And yeah, because there's a specific date in January where I'm like, I don't know what to talk about. So we're gonna do something like that.
We'll figure it out.
I love you guys, and I hope you have a great week. And honestly, I hope I have a great week too. Because it's the holiday season and it can be really sad. Like I woke up today and not the best mood, but I'm trying to fake it till I make it. because I miss some of my family that are no longer with us. And I know there's lots of people that are like that out there, and I feel you, and I love you, and I will talk to you next week.
Yeah, next week we're talking about Christmas movies, aren't we?
Yeah.
Part of the Christmas special.
Yeah.
So yeah. Am I allowed to say Batman Returns? I think I'm going to impose on myself that I cannot. You can say it if you like, but I can't.
I can say whatever I want. Bye, guys.